Most people build bags for comfort, but I built this one because one day comfort might not exist. This bag wasn't made for camping, wasn't made for Instagram photos, and it definitely wasn't made to sit in the back of the closet collecting dust. See, this bag was built around one question. What happens when home is 200 miles away and the world starts falling apart before you get back to it? No gas stations, no stores, no cell service, no guaranteed roads are even open. Most people think all they need is a bug out bag or get home bag. But if you travel long distances for work away from home and have a family that's depending on you getting back alive, then what you need is something entirely different.
Survival, emergency preparedness, everyday care, SHTF, gear, Patriot Prepper.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Kelly and you're watching Patriot Prepper. Today, we've opened up the hybrid bag and we're going to take a look at what all I got inside of it. Now, if you watched part one of this series, you already understand the philosophy behind this bag. If you haven't watched it yet, I suggest you start there. See, this isn't just a get-home bag, and it's not a traditional bug-out bag. This is what I call the hybrid bag. The current weight without water in it is about 35.5 pounds. When it's topped off with water, it's right at 44 pounds. It's a long-distance, self-sufficient, mobile-focused survival system designated to get me home from across potential hostile terrain during a real-world emergency. And before anybody starts typing in the comments, oh, that bag's gonna be too heavy, or this is too much gear, or I'll just stay in my truck, cool. Until the bridge is shut down, until fuel runs out, civil unrest starts. What if communication failed, or your vehicle becomes 4,000-pound paperweight? So I wanna get started with the platform itself, all right? This is the 511 Rush 100. All right. Now these bottom two pouches, this one and this one, I added to it. Everything else comes with it, besides the hydration system, Camel Pack. All right, it's right at 60 liters. And I know what some people are going to say. You know, bro, why didn't you get a smaller bag? You know, because smaller bags work great until they don't. The biggest reason why I chose this bag was sustainment capability, right? I travel over 200 miles from home to work. That changes everything. A small 20 or 30 liter bag might work great for short commutes, you know, urban movement, overnight emergencies, or quick evacuations. But this thing is designed for extended movement, all right? Another thing people underestimate is weight distribution, right? So with these straps and these waist belts, a properly built large pack can actually carry weight better than a smaller overloaded bag, right? The Rush 100, it has an internal aluminum frame. It's it has a solid load-bearing waist support, a bunch of load-bearing capability, and adjustable torso setup. This matters when you're walking mile after mile. And I'll prove that in part 3 of this series when we actually take this bag on a 15-mile ruck. Now, I also like how modular this is because these packs could come off, this one and this one. These straps are fully 100% adjustable. All right, and even this waist belt can come off. You can use that as a war belt. I can scale it up or scale it down depending on the mission requirements. This thing is, really it's built like a tank. Honestly, if civilization was to collapse, cockroaches in this bag is probably the only thing that's going to survive. Now, before we start going through all this gear, I need everybody watching this video to understand one thing. Gear does not make you prepared. Mindset does. Because a person with expensive gear and no plan becomes an expensive victim, right? And before we go through all this content, I want you to understand something that's very important. This bag is only part of my overall system. Although it is designed to work alone, it's built to integrate with my other layers of gear and preparedness, right? This bag works alongside my line 1 gear, which is my everyday carry, and my line 4, which is equipment that I permanently keep in my vehicle. So when I built this bag, I'm not planning as if this is the only gear that I'll have. I'm planning around a complete system. That means if my truck becomes disabled or breaks down or I'm forced to abandon it, there are certain items coming with me automatically. It's in my truck. Things like extra bottles of water, my rapid radio, physical maps, right? My truck gun, some flashlights, my radio charger, and other critical equipment, right? That I keep staged in my vehicle at all times. So when you see what's inside this bag that I carry, understand that some items may not make sense by themselves until you realize that they're designed to complement the rest of my survival setup. Every layer supports the next, okay? That's how you build preparedness, not just with one bag, but with a complete thought out system, okay? Now, we'll go ahead and start. Um, One of the first things that I think is important is communication, all right? So I have my Baofeng radio, all right? And this radio, I have a mic, a regular mic that plugs into it. All right. I have an earpiece if I need to be uh, more covert, I guess you could say, and extended antenna for further distance. Now, the way I look at it, communication is survival. All right. Monitoring emergency traffic, local communication, group coordination, and just gathering intel, right? The earpiece is just also to help maintain OPSEC, right? And keeping things discreet. Whereas the mic, I could, if I just need to put it on my bag or what have you, I could talk without having to reach down, grab the radio, okay? All right, so next, set this off to the side. So next, I also carry a small AM/FM radio, extra batteries. Why? Because information is power, right? Most people wait until the disaster hits them before they realize they have no idea what's happening around them. I like to have this and carry it because, emergency broadcast, right? Weather alerts, evacuation information, and just situational awareness. You know, if everyone else is blind around you and you have information, you're already at an advantage. Next, I want to talk about another part of the communication is my rapid radio. So, of course, my primary would be cell phone, but if something happens to my cell phone, stolen, it gets broke, dropped in water, anything that happens, I have this. Now, all of my electronics, I haven't covered it yet, but all these electronics that I'm talking about actually go in this Faraday bag. All right. All of them will fit, and they're always in there in my bag, just so y'all know. But getting back to the rapid radio. So I like it because it's small, it's convenient, easy to use. Turn it on and then just push talk and then talk. It works just like a walkie-talkie. It's long range. and this will talk directly to my wife and family here at home. The only downside to this is, so it does use cell phone towers. So if cell towers are down, then this will not work. All right. So then at that point, you'll be relying on the ham radio. But I just have it for redundancy. Okay. All right. Talking about communication and electronics. Also keep this solar charger. This is big enough that it will charge my cell phone. It will charge the radio. If I ever have to use this bag, this will be clipped on the front of it and will gather sunlight throughout the day where I can recharge. This also has a flashlight on here and a small compass. Not really sure how accurate the compass is. I've never used the compass, but as far as charging, it does work. Along with this, I do have charging cables, right? And I have charging cable for my EDC flashlight, the Arc Field Ultra by Olight. Okay. So all this will stay in the Faraday bag. All right, next let's talk about water. So this bag right here, I got in a Ziploc bag to keep it clean, keep it dry. But water is life, period. All right, not food, not gear, not ammo, water. What I have in here, one Sawyer Mini. All right, I like Sawyers because you can use them several different ways. I could collect dirty water in here, screw this on, and drink from it. Okay, or I could put this directly in line with my CamelBak, or I could just use it as a straw, go up to a water source, and suck on it that way. Now, something happens to this filter, the Sawyer Mini. I have chemical ways to purify water. I think this does 15 gallons, I want to say. There's 25 quarts, okay. So I do have a way to treat water. And then also, of course, boiling water. All right, so the next is going to be water bottles and storage. So I like to have multiple different ways to store water. All right. So I got a CamelBak that's 2 liters, 2.5 liters, I believe. And then I have these containers right here. I carry multiple ways to carry water because of redundancy, right? Redundancy matters. One container might get a hole in it, get broke, what have you. One water source might be contaminated, right? That's why preparedness isn't just about redundancy. It's about diverse redundancy, right? And we'll cover more about that later on in this video. But where something don't have the same failure, right? So if my water filter breaks, I can have another one, right? Or I could use something totally different, which is chemical, right? Or I could use fire to boil water. But so anyways, so this is a single wall aluminum container. You can boil water. I could boil water in my canteen cup. All right. You can tell I already have. And then I can store clean water in my canteen. All right. All right. So another thing. Most people don't have no clue what this is. If you know what it is, put it in the comments, okay? Yes, so this is a Silcock key, right? This can access water from commercial buildings, right? Just say during an emergency, all right? Like your regular water spigot, you just have a knob on it. Well, in urban environments, they don't have those, all right? And in a real disaster, water becomes priceless. All right. This has multiple different sizes on it. And you just stick it on the faucet and you turn it, and then you should be able to get water out of it. If you don't have one of these, I suggest you get one, Silcock key, especially if you live in the city. All right, so next we'll talk about medical. All right, and this is probably one of the most important sections in this entire bag, right? Just because in a real emergency, you're probably going to be your own first responder. Now, on my bag, I still have it attached to it, but Refuge Medical IFAC. All right, I think this is actually called the Bear Fac. You pull it out, and then it pops out. You got tourniquets, you got chest seals in here, you got gauze, you got pressure bandages. And then if one tourniquet's not enough, I have an additional one, right? Very good IFAC. I forgot how much I paid for it, but you go to Refuge Medical and get these, okay? So like I said, I got an extra tourniquet because massive bleeding doesn't care how prepared you thought you were, right? So I always keep at least 2 of them in my bag. And then I got a boo-boo kit, right? This is for small injuries, blisters, cuts, infections, right? Because small injuries become big problems, right? Big problems fast. They can stop movement, right? So these are like just bandages, has ibuprofen, some other little bandages, some gloves, some tape, just a regular boo-boo kit. Also, very important, moleskins. All right, if you have a get-home bag and you live more than 15-20 miles from where you work, I would get you at least a pack of moleskin, because blisters hurt, they can get infected, and they can stop you from walking, okay? So get you some moleskins. I also have, well, there's another little thing of bandages. I keep a couple of these emergency blankets. These could be used either for a blanket, right, or signaling. This is very reflective. Bottle of ibuprofen. Just a clear, cheap poncho. A small bar of soap, right, because when you're talking 200 miles, you're not going to be able to walk in that in a day, right? So keeping hygiene up is really good, right? Same way with toothbrush, toothpaste, and I got some of these Instacloths, right? You add a little bit of water and they turn into a washcloth. So this is, between this and my IFAC, this is my medical. All right, next let's talk about lighting. One of the first things is my headlamp. This is a Nebo headlamp. This is a rechargeable headlamp. So this, and I have it with a Ranger band, the charging cable. You go to white, or red, right? And you can do it both ways. Red could come on first, then white, or white and then red, however. But a good headlamp. Headlamps are game changers, right? Because trying to survive one-handed in the dark absolutely sucks, right? So you could do this. You don't need any hands to use this, right? And my purpose behind this is whether it be for medical, right? If I need both hands for medical reasons, what about setting up shelter? Or even just movement after dark, making repairs to gear. this is one of those things I was talking about, diverse redundancy. All right, because so I have two flashlights, and both these flashlights go off AA batteries. All right, which I do have extra AA batteries in my pack. But what happens if those packs of batteries all dead, what have you? Now, even though I got two flashlights, they both have the same failure point, right? So now at least I have my headlamp and my EDC light, okay? Because these are both rechargeable. That's what I mean when I'm talking about diverse redundancy. They don't have the same failure point. So there's the flashlights, also chem lights, all right? Because chem lights doesn't require no electricity, no batteries, no charging, all right? You just crack them, and then this could be used for light or signaling, all right? Put you some 550 cord on here, or paracord, or whatever you want to call it. You're swinging this at night, it makes a big circle, good for signaling. Or if you just need low light condition, crack this baby, and you have light. All right, next, let's talk about shelter system, all right? So, poncho. Exposure kills people a lot faster than most people realize, right? If you can stay dry, if you could block wind, if you can maintain your body heat, your survivability skyrockets, right? So this poncho serves as multiple purposes. One, for rain gear, right? Two, for wind protection. And the third one, emergency shelter. All right? It's lightweight. It don't take up a lot of space. Next, I got a 12-foot by 9.5 foot survival shelter. All right. So this is probably another one of the important pieces of gear, because shelter, right? Concealment. I could use this as rain catchment or ground cover. All right. When it's folded up in this bag, I mean, it don't take up very much room, and it's pretty light. All right. This is by Southern Survival. Like I said, it's 12 foot by 9.6 inches, right? So 9.5 foot by 12. Next, hammock. All right, so I got this this hammock for several reasons. One, getting off wet ground matters, right? And then also, better sleep actually means better decision making, right? So I know y'all's gonna say, "Oh man, you don't got time to sleep. You need to get home." Well, it's 200 miles, right? And you're not going to get there in a day or two, especially if you're just walking. So you need to be able to rest, take care of yourself, and that's where some type of sleep system, right? In the summertime, I got the hammocks. Wintertime, it's a sleeping bag, okay? But hammock. Now, like I said, everything that I'm showing y'all that I carry is for me. This is what I want. This is what I need for mine. So you might not necessarily need all this stuff, right? Especially, I mean, if you're 50 miles away or what have you, yes, you're not going to need probably half of this. But for people long distances, this is what I say that I'm going to need, right? All right, next is this dry bag. So this is going to have multiple uses. One, this is going to keep my critical gear, right, dry. Right, this could be everything from socks to electronics, medical gear, batteries. That's what this could be used for. Another thing this could be used for is I could catch water. I could go up to a water source, get me dunk this in the water, get me, this is about 4 or 5 gallons probably. And let's see if this says, it don't say, but I would say it's probably about 3 to 4 gallons at least. And I could bring this back to the camp and filter my water, right? So, good dry bag. Next, pack cover, right? Because people underestimate weather, right? And rain destroys morale quick. Getting equipment wet could destroy it. So, if it's raining, pack cover is going to be on this pack. Because right now, when it's fully decked out, fully full of water, it's 44 pounds. Imagine this thing getting soaking ass wet, and then you're probably looking at 50 pounds, right? So pack cover, keep everything dry. Next is going to be my fire suit. All right. Now fire changes everything, right? All right. So this is what I have in this pack. Of course, I keep it in this Ziploc bag so everything stays nice and dry. My primary Bic lighter. I got Bic lighter with some duct tape. I always keep my EDC lighter on me. So I got 2 lighters. And the reason behind this fire is warmth, right? Cooking, morale, maybe drying clothes, maybe signaling, water purification. But so a lighter, right? That's probably gonna be your quickest, your fastest. Next, I got stormproof and waterproof matches. All right. And then a ferro rod, right? And then I also have my little homemade fire kit, dryer lint, matches, cotton balls in here with petroleum jelly, and then these are little fire rope. All right. So multiple ways to start fire. I know y'all heard 2 is 1 and 1 is none, right? That's exactly because fire is just as important as your water, okay? All right, next we'll talk about the compass, all right, and maps. So I have a military lensetic compass. The reason I have this is because technology can fail, right? Maps and compasses don't. So I have a compass and I have my map case. So I already got my map. I already took my map out of here, but this is where your map would go. All right, this just folds out. And then my map markers so I could mark my route. This stays with my compass. All right. Next, I have Write in the Rain notebook. This notebook is important, right? I could use this to write down routes, maybe frequencies, notes, maybe tracking information or planning, right? You need the ability to be able to think and organize your information. And along with that, multiple ways to write. So I got a pen, Sharpie marker, and a pencil, right? All right. Next, food. All right. So now let's talk food. This bag is not designed to feed me like I'm sitting at a steakhouse, okay? It's fuel. All right, so I have MRE that I broke down, cheese tortellini and tomato sauce. And then I have this freeze-dried food, beef stew, beef stroganoff, Louisiana red beans and rice. All right, so lightweight calories with long shelf life. It's efficient. I could just boil some water, dump it in here, wait 15-20 minutes, and then I'm eating. Now, I know y'all gonna laugh at this one, but yes, ramen noodles. All right, cheap, lightweight, fast calories, and honestly, it's good morale food, right? I like this. And then I have small bags of peanuts, energy bar, and some cashews. So this would be like eating on the go. I'd probably stuff this in my pockets, and I can just reach in there, grab a few peanuts or cashews as I'm walking. Calories equal energy, right? All right, so there's the food. All right, so next I have a little jet bowl system right here. So jet bowl, and then I think this little stove I got from like Academy, Magellan Outdoors. Anyways, put this on there. This rotates out, and then I'm able to either cook. I'm able to boil water, or if I want to use my cook set, I cook food on it. It's lightweight. It don't take a lot of space. Now, I will say this jet bowl gives me speed, right? Fast bowling. If I just need to boil some water real quick and get out the way. Now, other than that, this is going to be a limited amount. This says, this 100%, it says it does 24 bowls. All right. So I never tested it out as far as how many times I could boil water with it, but I have cooked with it, and it does work pretty darn good. Now, my cook set. So I got utensils. These utensils I actually just got at Walmart. They're like hard plastic. They don't break very easily. And then I got this titanium spork with a knife on it. Okay. So if I lose one, I'm still able to eat. This right here is just a small cook set. You can find these at probably Walmart, Academy, but it has a cup in here, a pot with a lid, of course, pan, and a cover. And I just put the bandana in there to kind of quiet it down. Okay. But this is the cook set, and this will allow you to cook some meals, right? Especially if you want to, portion out. Maybe these, you don't want to cook all of it. You do half of it, cook it, and then you still have half for a later date, right? All right, fishing kit. So, all right, so this small fishing kit gives me the ability to get food, right? It gives me the capability to fish. Probably not my primary plan, right? But options matter. So these limb lines, I can set these out on trees, and whether I'm taking rest or what have you, wake up and then see if there's anything on there, or you could just go fishing, right? But just an alternative way to get food, okay? Because you got to think about 200 miles. You're not going to get there in 2 or 3 days, right? Probably more like a week, maybe even a little bit longer, depending on what happens, right? If it could be bad weather, it could be injury, something like that, right? So, oh, and I did forget to mention, and I do got some seasoning, right? Because we all know, y'all tasted probably The freeze-dried food, some of it don't have the best seasoning, so I got some seasoning. Now, when I use our freeze dryer and our food, that's actually, I like that better because, of course, you already have your own seasoning in with it. But this is what I brought right now, so this is what I have. All right, this next is this Ontario M9 knife or bayonet. All right, so this knife is my heavy use blade, right? This thing is a beast. This is for maybe shelter building, maybe processing material, wood, what have you, cutting, and then also emergency defense, right? This would probably, if I have to use this bag, this would be living on the outside of it, okay? Next is going to be this Rhino USA e-tool. So, it's a little dirty, but so e-tool, and it has the pick. The purpose for this, so this is one of the items I was kind of iffy about, right? Because this thing does weigh a few pounds, probably about 4 pounds or so. But the purpose behind this is maybe sanitation, maybe some type of drainage, shelter work, maybe digging a vehicle out of sand, snow, ditch, what have you. So that's why I have this. All right, next is going to be the Silky Gone Boy. So this saw is probably one of my favorite tools in this bag, right? Works very well, and sawing burns less calories than chopping, okay? This makes quick work out of limbs and everything. This is good for building fire, building shelter. That's why I have that. All right, next 550 cord. 50 feet of 550 cord or paracord, whatever y'all want to call it, right? This stuff is like survival gold. At this point, paracord is basically like prepper duct tape. We use it for everything, right? But this will be good for shelter building. This will be good for, you can use this to fish with. You could make snares and traps with it. Just all kinds of use for this. All right, next we're talking about duct tape and electrical tape. So if duct tape can't fix it, you probably got big issues, right? But seriously, you could use this to maybe if your tarp rips, what have you, so repairs on gear. Same way with electrical tape, right? If you need to tape something up, what have you, emergency bandage, something like that, you have electrical tape. Next, I got zip ties. All right, zip ties solves a ton of problems for almost like no weight, right? I could use this to build a shelter, right? The reason why I got all different, these bright colors, because originally I was going to use this as some type of marking device, right? So I could put this on tree limbs, on fence posts, what have you, to let me know that I've been there or let somebody else know that I've been there, right? Just tracking. That's what I got that for. All right, so next I got sewing kit. Just a small sewing kit, right? This is so you can repair your clothing, maybe gear in the field. Little repairs prevent big failures, okay guys? So sewing kit. All right, so next we'll talk about security. So I got a box, 9mm rounds and extra magazine. All right, I'm not going to go too super deep into security because everyone's situation and local laws may be different, right? But what I will say is security matters, right? Um, so y'all notice all I really have. So I'll have my EDC pistol that I always have on me, and then my truck gun, which is another 9mm. But and just limited ammo, right? And there's a reason for that. I'm not trying to get in the gunfight 200 miles away from home, right? The mission is not combat. The mission is getting home alive. And the way I see it, the best fight is the one you never have to get into. All right. This is here basically for self-defense. All right. That's what that's there for. All right. So next will be clothing. All right. So guys, I got tops, of course, you can see over there, socks, boxers, extra shirt. But socks is probably going to be one of your biggest things, right? You got to be able to take care of your feet, right? Moisture management, you have to have layering, maybe weather adaptation, depending on if it's cold outside or it's hot. But dry clothing can completely change survivability, okay? So make sure you have good extra clothing. Also have shamog and a bandana, whether it be clean your face, dry off, what have you. So next, toilet paper, right? Everybody laughs until they need it, right? But toilet paper, because I don't feel like wiping my ass with pine straws, right? Or oak leaves, right? So I got toilet paper. Next, I got contractor bags, right? These things are insanely versatile, and you can use this for waterproofing stuff, insulation, building an emergency shelter, to put trash in, or just maybe rain gear, right? It's ingenuity right there. All right, so next things I got is I have a handcuff key, right? To get out of handcuffs. Don't act like y'all never been in handcuffs before. But so yep, just in case you find yourself in a bad situation, you're handcuffed, handcuff key, a small lockpick set. This thing will be very useful if you have to get into somewhere that actually has a padlock or something like that. This will be mainly for survivability, right? I got to get out of the weather. I got to do something. Something's locked up. I could get out of it. And then I got this SAS survival guide. All right. Got this because I don't know everything, right? This little book contains a ridiculous amount of knowledge, right? And the more knowledge you have, the better. Everything from edible plants to poisonous plants, what to do if you get bit by certain insects or snakes. But this has a ton of useful information. All right, so I have that. So now, look at all this gear that I pulled out. Some people are going to think it's excessive, right? And but preparedness is not built around average days, right? It's built around the worst day. And this bag only exists because I refuse to rely on luck to get me home safely to my family. All right. Now, what I will say is this bag is not perfect, and your bag shouldn't look exactly like mine, right? Because your environment's different. Maybe your mission, your threats, family size, distance from home, or your skill level. That's all different, right? Preparedness is personal, but planning is universal. What I will say, especially when it comes to communication, if your family does not know the plan, there is no plan. Right? You just be aimlessly listening to the radio or try and talk on the ham radio, but your family doesn't know what time you're going on the air, right? So that's one of the big key takeaways I like y'all to remember is make sure everybody knows the plan. Okay. Now, in part 3 of this series is where we'll actually stop talking and start testing. That's when we'll be doing a 15-mile ruck, all right, with this bag fully loaded out with all this gear. And the reason for that, because a survival bag that's never tested is just expensive optimism, really. But if you got anything out of this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and drop a comment below. Stay ready, guys. Stay dangerous and stay prepared. And remember, those who prepare today survive tomorrow. See y'all next one. Patriot Prepper out.